Yo, welcome back to Brandon Smooth TV. What the fuck did I just watch, y'all? Squid Game on Netflix. And it's a lot of shit to break down about this show. Now, Squid Game takes place in Korea in a fictional world, of course. And, the story actually starts off with this dude named Ji Young. I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly. I just call him G. And G is he's a degenerate gambler and a deadbeat father. I mean, that's the only way to really put it. And then he's approaching the subway to play this game with somebody to, earn some quick money. Picks that money up from the dude, and then he actually gets invited to come play for more money in what's called the Squid Game. Now, Squid Games is, I guess it's an old Korean game from their childhood that they can play, and we end up finding out that there's a competition to win 45.6 billion won. Um, if you the last player standing. Now, ironically, G is player 456, and he is the last player. So it's 456 players. So they don't know what's going on. They go to the island, they're changing these jumpsuits, everything seems cool, and then the next thing you know, they play a little friendly game of red light, green light with this eerie ass doll that's, I don't know, 50 feet, 100 feet tall. I don't know how big it is. It's huge. And basically, they start the red light, green light game. Now, when they start the red light, green light game, it's a couple people that actually start moving forward, just like red light, green light when you was a kid. But the problem is when they said red light and you was still moving, you get shot by a sniper. Now, the red light, green light game to me was the best game of Squid Games. It was a more physical game where you got to kind of just rely on your speed and your wits. And I think that was a great introduction as far as what the rest of the games was about. So that was pretty cool. Now, once they finished the game and they took them back and they're looking at all these dead players that got shot by the red light, green light game, a big ass piggy bank comes up. And the piggy bank is just filled up with money. They basically give you the money of the other players, what they would have won. And each player that dies, you get their amount. And it just goes into a big pot. Now, of course, people's like, this is crazy. You're out here killing people. And they actually vote. And, they have a very democratic process to where they like, look, y'all can go home if majority says y'all want to go home. So they end up leaving this crazy island because they found out they were on an island. And they go back home. But the thing is, they don't know where the island is. They're drugged. And they're not drugged, but they're given sleep gas before they go. And everything's very hidden and under the rug. So after they voted, they went back home. They said this shit's crazy, but when they went back home, they were faced with their lives. Now, getting into some of the other characters, we have the girl's character. I forgot her name, but she is just trying to move her family, get her mom from up north and bring her down to Korea, and help her little brother. Her little brother's in an orphanage right now, and they were able to escape, I guess, but they gotta get the family back together. So she has a very righteous cause. Now she is tied up with some degenerates, some goddamn thugs. One of them is the bully player 101 you see to the left. He and her used to work together, and he's just a big fraud. He tries to act a lot more tougher than he is, which he is a tough dude, but he tried to act a little more tougher than he is, like he's in control. And she knows the truth about him, and she constantly spends the episode exposing him, but he hates her. He hurts her a lot. Next we have G's best friend. I call him Woo Shiesty. That's what the internet call him, and we'll tell you why he's shiesty later. But he was the smartest kid in the whole neighborhood, I guess, in the whole city. He's a childhood prodigy. He was supposed to be super smart in business and you'd be making a whole bunch of money, but he's playing Squid Games for some reason, and we find out he's in debt to so many goddamn people. He don't even have nobody else to be in debt in. He owe everybody. So we'll get into that story with him and G. I guess they grew up as best friends. And G, it's funny because he spent the whole series talking about he's a graduate of SBCU and all this. It's just hilarious. And then you end up seeing he ain't shit. Now, the other character we have is the old man, player 1. And he said he has a brain tumor. He told G that throughout the series, and he's dying. So for him, the death factor, I mean, it's still a risk and you still fear death. But since he's dying anyways, he's like, I might as well try to win a whole bunch of money, right? And then last we got Ali. Ali is He's from Pakistan, and we find out later on in his story that he's just trying to get his family safe. So, he found out he was in Squid Games, and people have been doing him wrong. His boss didn't want to pay him his wages, and we'll get into that later. So he's playing for his own reasons. Now, as I said, G is a degenerate gambler, and he owes a lot of people money, too. He want to do right by his mom, who he kind of be finagling, and then his daughter, who he gambled so much, he didn't gamble with the money to buy her a decent gift. End up buying her some bullshit out of a goddamn arcade game. So that's a little quick synopsis of the story, and we'll just go through one by one. Now, after these fools go back to their pathetic lives, they decide to go back to the island, even though they seen people's brains get splattered all over their green jumpsuits. They don't care. And the people that's over the Squid Games, they knew that a certain amount of players were going to come back. I don't think all the players came back, but they knew a certain amount would come back because their lives were so terrible on the outside. They think this game is the one chance they had to turn everything around. And they're really at rock bottom, so they don't have nothing to lose. Now, fast forward, we do have a police officer that's actually searching for his brother. And he ends up getting in contact with G. Found out that G got the same little secret card to call and have him come pick you up to compete in the games. So he actually sneaks on the boat. And he steals one of the guards, which I get into these guards wearing red jumpsuits. He steals one of their outfits and kind of infiltrates the organization. Now, it's some weird ass guards walking around. Y'all see them in the back. Of course, y'all know these dudes in the red suits. Their shapes on their face part determines basically their rank. I think the guys with the zeros, they do more of the mundane activities, cooking, picking up bodies. They ain't really doing nothing. I don't even know if they get guns. Now, the dudes with the triangles, they're kind of in the middle. They get a little more authority. And then the dude with the square on his mask, he's in charge. And then you have the front man. He just wears all black. And the front man's mask is all black. He's just looking like, Kylo Ren and Darth Vader had a baby. Now, after they go back to the island, we get to the next game. And the next game is the cookie cutter game. I don't know the exact name of them. But... This game is crazy because basically at the beginning of the game they say pick a shape. And these motherfuckers pick a shape. They don't know what it's going to be, but basically they get a timer and they have to take a little thin piece of almost like a threading needle and like carve the shape out perfectly out of this cookie. And they got a time limit to do it. And if you break your shape or make it disformed in any way, they take a revolver and shoot you right in the fucking head. That shit was fucking crazy. And it makes it throughout the game is super tense and suspenseful because people are getting their brains blown out all around you. You're sitting here trying to like outline this shape and boom! And you still trying to, it's nerve wracking. And if your nerves ain't right, you're not going to make it. That game was crazy. Now, fast forward, we find out that some of the red jumpsuit dudes, it's a few of them that's not, they with the organization, but they're trying to make some money on the side. So what they're doing is they're taking players who may be still somewhat alive or the ones that's the freshest, and they're taking their organs out. And you can sell those for very high prices, but the fresher a body is, the more preserved the organ is, so the sooner you get them out, the better. They got players that was like half dead, dying, and they will go ahead and help. They're not fully dead. Take those organs. Now they end up getting the doctor, and it's one of the doctors that actually claimed one of the players, and they're telling him what the next game is going to be so he can have an advantage. In exchange, he's going to cut these organs out so they can get them in. That was all so crazy, seeing that, and that comes back to bite some of those guards and the doctor in the ass. Now, as the game progresses, we got people dying. People done died in the goddamn cookie cutter game. People done died, of course, in red light, green light. The game, they start giving the players less food, and less food is going to create arguments. And anytime violence starts anywhere, it's because people are deprived and they don't have something. So it gets to the point where one chick snitched and was like, the bully guy and his crew jumped in line and they ate twice. And as soon as the lights went off, he went over to her fucking bunk with a knife and stabbed that bitch. Snitches get stitches. And he stabbed the shit out of her ass, which caused an all-out mayhem. The lights were off, and they just allowed them to basically throughout the night pick each other off and kill people. Because you got to understand, when a player dies, their money just get added to the piggy bank. So you can eliminate players in between games. And they were basically allowing it up until the old man got up there and was crying, player one, and they basically decided to stop it. Next game we got into was the Tug of War. It's Tug of War, y'all, but it's about 100 feet off the ground, maybe higher. And then you're chained to the rope. So whatever team loses, they pull you all off this platform, and then they just take this big guillotine thing and chop it right down, and then you fall to your death. The most deadliest game of Tug of War. Tug of War was my second favorite game that they had. Yeah, it was my second favorite game. Reason being, you really had to work as a team. Red light, green light, basically solo. The cookie cutter game, basically solo, but you had to work as a team. And if you got weak people, you may die. But they had a strategy that they used in order to keep their team alive. Now, watching those people fall to their death was crazy. And the creator does have very innovative ways to do this. I can't wait till season 2. Next, we have, and I'm probably skipping around, this is just random thoughts, the marble game. Now, the marble game is basically, you're supposed to pick a partner, and you think you're about to go work with them to do something kind of like Tug of War. Wrong. You're versus your partner. And only one of you gets to live. So, I think everybody get 10 marbles or 20 marbles. I forgot how many. But, you get to kind of play whatever game you want to determine who gets the marbles. And whoever gets all the marbles goes to the next round, and the other person gets shot in the head. Now, people gave up. Like the old man, initially watching the old man, he acted like he got dementia and don't know what he wants. And a lot of people are actually getting tricked out of their marbles. But the craziest case was our boy Wu and our boy Ali right there in the back. Wu took advantage of Ali's trusting nature, and he ended up getting a whole bunch of rocks, tearing his shirt up like he was helping him, putting the rocks in there, and then putting a chain around his neck and saying, hold on to these rocks. They can't kill us both if we both got even amounts of marbles, so let's go around and scout the other players to see who's left and who's going to be competition, who's going to move forward to the next round. Wu walked right up to the goddamn guards, turning his marbles. He got our boy Ali just walking around all sad, looking for him, doing what he's saying. Hey, Woo, I'm looking at the competition. I'm looking at people's age. I'm doing this, doing that. He looks down at his goddamn chain necklace that was made out of a shirt that's the marble's supposed to be in, opens it up. It's all rocks. And they smoke Ali. And it was the saddest part, the saddest point. And they made it very sad for the movie. Now, for all you out there, conspiracy theorists dudes that say Ali is alive, Ali is fucking dead, y'all. They showed him in a casket with a fucking hole in his head. He's dead. Now, I don't want to hear no shit. Well, he got shot off screen. Kind of like the old man, because the old man ended up getting killed too, and G ended up moving forward. Long story short, Ali is dead. They showed his body. Once they show your body, you're fucking dead. They bring him back, I'm going to be surprised. Now, before they go into the next game, you meet the VIPs. And the VIPs, these are the elite. These are the people in charge of the games, coming to watch the games. You can definitely tell they have American accents. Just some nasty, cold-hearted, heartless bastards. That's all they is. They don't even see these people as people. I mean, they using real people's lives as entertainment, like it's video games or a movie or something. They don't give a damn about these people. Also, one of them was nasty, trying to get with the officer and the staff. You have to watch it, just some weird shit. But the bottom line with the VIPs is, since you do have English-speaking VIPs and maybe people from different regions, the Squid Games maybe are not only held in an island in Korea, but they may go in the other seasons and do them in different parts of the world and incorporate different cultures' games. I'm definitely down for that shit. So hopefully they do that. Now, this brings us to the Glass Stepping Stones game. Basically, you get two options. You got option A or B. Now, one of the glass is fake glass, and as soon as you put some weight on it, it's going to break, and you're going to fall to your death 100 feet, 50 feet, however long it was. Or you pick the right one. And before the game was, you actually get to pick the order you go in. So the people that went first, they're probably going to die because they're going to be the ones that have to figure out which glass is real and which one is not. This game was crazy, and people even refused to go. Wu Shiesty pushed the dude off at the end of his death to figure out the last one and go on and get on the platform. But this was a hella suspenseful game because you're trying to remember which ones that the previous person in front of you stepped on to. Meanwhile, people are falling through and dying to their death. So that was crazy. Now, the bully ends up getting killed by this crazy chick, and I didn't even really bring her crazy ass up because she was over the top. But he ends up having sex with her, and he promised her during that they were going to remain partners to the end, but she ends up holding onto his ass, and they fall off the goddamn glass bridge. So all we got left is really G, Wu Shiesty, and the girl that make it out of that. Old man, like I said, the old man passed away, and we seen him, well, we heard him get shot. Because G tricked him and said, look, I'm going to play on this old man's dimension in a marble game, and I got to win because my best self-interest is at hand. So this really tests who you are as a human being. Now, the cop actually ends up getting in there, infiltrating the masked figures, and actually getting a lot of information. He finds out his brother actually won the Squid Games, and he's still searching for his brother. But we end up finding out after the cop kind of escapes the island, and he's sending off emails and text messages to the police. He got away with some of the evidence. But we end up finding out the front man is actually his brother. So it's one of the first big reveals, and he ends up shooting him. He shoots him in the arm. He might not be dead because he fell off a cliff into some water. I don't know, but you can tell that he didn't want to shoot his brother. He asked him to join him, but his brother just couldn't do that. So the front man is the cop's goddamn brother. Last three players, we got Wu Shiesty, the chick that's trying to save her brother, and of course G. They had a steak dinner before. They gave them a reward for being the last three players and actually fed them before the last game. But they left the steak dinner knives after they took the rest of the plates and stuff away. So they wanted them to kill each other throughout the night to eliminate players and see who's left. Long story short, they played the last game, the Squid Game. Wu Shiesty ends up taking his life because he figured out he was wrong for all the stuff he did and lets G win. And G wins the whole game. He wins the $45.6 billion. Now, after he wins, he goes to the ATM, to make sure the money's there, pull off a little bit of money, and it was there. But then he just ends up living the same way he's been living because he's so depressed that all his friends died. He found out his mother died while he was gone at the Squid Game, so he can't help her. And he don't spend none of the money. And then about a year later, he decides to go ahead and move forward with his life. He wants to go visit his daughter. He takes care of the girl's mother, the little brother. He actually gets him out of the orphanage. And he takes care of Wu Shiesty, his best friend's mom, since his mom died. I think he did that as a gesture too, because that was his friend. Gives her half of the winnings and the little boy. So I'm glad he did help them as far as keeping his promise and vow that he wanted to do something good. Now, he's getting ready to leave, but he ends up getting another card with the phone number on there. Goes to the skyscraper. The second cliffhanger, we find out the old man is in charge of the whole Squid Games. He's the mastermind behind the old bullshit. And he just wanted to compete in the games for some thrills. Because he said that's the whole reason he created it. He had spent so much money and got so much wealth. He was just bored. And he was like, I'm going to compete in here for the last time. But what this shows me is he was willing to risk his life, which he really wasn't at risk. They didn't shoot him during the marble game. They knew who he was. But the good part about him is G was mad at him because he was like, how can you kill all these people and get away with it? He said, this is just fun. This is what the elite do. So the Squid Game overall is about how the elite views the people that are in poverty. To sum it up. Old man was behind the game the whole time. Now, they are still recruiting people because on the way to go to America, Ji Hung sees the guy that he was playing the game with in the subway recruiting some more suckers. He decides not to get on the plane, and we assume the next season is going to be G trying to infiltrate the organization and stop the Squid Games as a whole. Now, overall, I understand why this is the most watched Netflix series, but there is other knockoffs like Hunger Games and stuff that we have of this series. Squid Game is important because they had good characters. They were basic characters. The hidden faces of the guards and the head people, that also brought a certain mystique to the show, so that's why I enjoyed it so much. But Squid Game's got repeat value as far as watch value. It was a good show, and please check it out. Now, when I watched it with the subtitles to keep it original. I want to know exactly what it said versus the English dub, but you can watch it however you want. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll holler at you later. Peace.